The house on Maple Street has been sold. Closing happened this morning. Congratulations to the new owners. Lily stared at her phone, the real estate agent's cheerful email burning into her retinas. Around her, mourners in black gathered at her father's graveside, their voices a distant murmur beneath the sound of her heart shattering. The priest was still speaking. Dirt was being thrown onto the casket, and her childhood home, the one place that still held her father's memory, his warmth, his love, had just been ripped away from her. Her fingers trembled as she scrolled through the attached documents. Sale date, today. Seller, Victoria Chen Patterson. Her stepmother. The woman standing 15 feet away, dabbing fake tears with a silk handkerchief, wearing a black Chanel dress that cost more than most people's monthly rent. My name is Lily Patterson, and I'm 32 years old. 6 hours ago, I buried my father. 6 hours ago, I became an orphan. And apparently, in those same 6 hours, I also became homeless. The email had arrived at 10:47 a.m., right as the funeral service ended. Lily had felt her phone buzz in her purse but ignored it, thinking it could wait. Nothing was more important than saying goodbye to the man who raised her alone after her mother died when she was 7. Robert Patterson had been her hero, her anchor, her everything, and now he was gone. Lily, sweetheart, are you all right? Her father's business partner, George, touched her shoulder gently. She must have made a sound, a gasp, maybe a sob, because several people were now looking at her with concern. I'm fine, she managed, her voice hollow. Her eyes found Victoria across the grave. Her stepmother was accepting condolences from distant relatives, her face a perfect mask of grief. But Lily could see it now, the thing she'd been too naive to notice before. The slight upturn at the corner of Victoria's mouth. The woman wasn't mourning. She was celebrating. 3 years. That's how long Victoria had been married to her father. 3 years since the elegant, sophisticated woman had swept into Robert Patterson's life at a charity gala, charming him with her beauty and apparent kindness. Lily had wanted to be happy for her father. He'd been alone for so long, but something about Victoria had always felt wrong. Too polished, too perfect, too calculated. She's after his money, Lily had told her father once, 2 years ago, after Victoria had convinced him to put her name on several bank accounts for convenience. Lily, that's unfair, her father had said, disappointment in his eyes. Victoria loves me. Not everyone has an ulterior motive. You're being paranoid. Lily had backed off after that, not wanting to damage their relationship. She swallowed her concerns, attended family dinners with a smile, and tried to give Victoria the benefit of the doubt. Even when Victoria insisted they redecorate the house on Maple Street, erasing her mother's memory, painting over childhood handprints, replacing family photos with modern art. Even when Victoria suggested Lily might be more comfortable finding her own place instead of visiting so often. Even when her father's health started declining rapidly, and Victoria controlled who could visit and when. The signs had been there all along. Lily just hadn't wanted to see them. The funeral reception was held at the Patterson family home, or what used to be the Patterson family home. Lily walked through rooms that no longer felt familiar, touching walls that had once displayed her school photos. Standing in the kitchen where her father had taught her to make pancakes every Sunday morning. Everything was different now. Cold, impersonal. Victoria's taste had infected every corner like a virus. Lily, we need to talk. Victoria appeared beside her, and Lily caught a whiff of expensive perfume, the same scent that had filled the house for 3 years. Slowly erasing the smell of her father's old books and morning coffee. About the house you sold? Lily's voice was ice. While I was burying my father? Victoria's expression didn't change. If anything, she looked mildly annoyed, as if Lily were a child throwing an inappropriate tantrum. I don't appreciate your tone. This is my house, Lily. Your father left everything to me. I have every right to sell it. The funeral was this morning. Lily's hands clenched into fists. You couldn't wait one day? One single day before erasing every trace of him. Oh, please. Victoria's mask slipped for just a moment, revealing something cold and sharp beneath. Don't be dramatic. Your father is dead. This house is just a building. I have no use for it, and I certainly don't need the memories. The buyer offered above asking price, and I accepted. It's called being practical. Lily felt like she'd been slapped. He loved this house. We loved this house. Every room has a memory. Had a memory. Victoria corrected. Past tense. It's time to move on, Lily. I certainly am. She paused, then added with false sweetness. Besides, I'm sure you can understand. You're a smart girl. Your father may have been sentimental, but I'm a businesswoman. This house was worth $2.3 million. Why would I keep it when I could have the cash? The number hit Lily like a physical blow. $2.3 million. Her father's life, their family history, reduced to a transaction Victoria completed before the burial was even finished. What about his will? Lily demanded. What about his wishes? Victoria smiled, and it was the smile of a predator who'd already won. His will left everything to his beloved wife. Me, the house, the savings, the investment portfolio, the life insurance. All of it. He trusted me completely, Lily. Maybe you should have tried harder to make him trust you. The implication was clear. Lily had been cut out. Completely. That's impossible, Lily whispered. Dad would never. But he did. Victoria pulled out her phone and showed Lily a document. See for yourself. Will dated 18 months ago. Properly notarized. Completely legal. Your father left you nothing except some childhood photos and books. I've already had them boxed up. You can collect them next week. Lily's vision blurred. This couldn't be happening. Her father had always promised the house would be hers someday. It wasn't about the money, it was about legacy, about home, about keeping his memory alive. You did something, Lily said, her voice shaking. You manipulated him. Careful. Victoria's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. That sounds like an accusation. And accusations require proof. Do you have any proof, Lily? Any evidence that I did anything wrong? Or are you just a bitter daughter who can't accept that Daddy loved his wife more than his child? The words were designed to wound, and they did. But beneath the pain, something else stirred. Lily looked at her stepmother, really looked at her, and saw something she'd missed before. Victoria wasn't just cold. She was scared. Just for a moment, there was something in her eyes that looked almost like fear. Why would she be afraid? Unless there was something to hide. You're right, Lily said quietly, forcing herself to sound defeated. I don't have proof. I'm sorry for the accusation. I'm just grieving. Victoria's shoulders relaxed slightly. Of course you are. We all are. Why don't you go home, Lily? Get some rest. This has been a difficult day for everyone. Lily nodded and turned to leave. But as she walked out of her childhood home for what might be the last time, her mind was already racing. Victoria had made a mistake. She'd shown her hand too quickly, moved too fast, been too confident. And confidence, Lily knew, was often the first sign of someone who'd gotten away with something. Her phone buzzed again. Another email, this time from her father's lawyer requesting a meeting. Urgent matter regarding estate. Lily's pulse quickened. Maybe there was more to this story. Maybe her father had left something behind, some clue, some protection she didn't know about. She got into her car and sat there for a moment, looking up at the house where she'd learned to ride a bike, where her father had bandaged her scraped knees, where he'd walked her through her first heartbreak and her college acceptance letter. The house where he'd promised, "This will always be your home, Lily girl. Always." Victoria appeared in the window, phone to her ear, laughing about something. And Lily made a decision. If Victoria wanted a war, she'd get one. Because Lily Patterson wasn't the naive girl who tried to make peace for her father's sake anymore. That girl had died the moment she received that email. What emerged was someone harder, sharper, someone who understood that sometimes the only way to honor the dead was to fight like hell for what they'd left behind. She started the car and drove toward the lawyer's office, her jaw set with determination. Victoria Chen had made her first mistake. She'd underestimated her stepdaughter. And if you're watching this wondering how far someone will go when they've lost everything, stick around. Because this is just the beginning, and trust me, you won't want to miss what happens when a woman with nothing left to lose decides to take back everything that was stolen from her. The law office of Morrison and Associates occupied the third floor of a building downtown that smelled of old wood and older money. Lily had been here once before, years ago, when her father updated his estate planning after her mother's death. Back then she'd been a child, bored and fidgeting while adults talked about things that seemed impossibly distant. Death, inheritance, legacy. Now those words were her entire reality. "Miss Patterson, thank you for coming on such short notice." Harold Morrison was 70-something, with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses and the careful posture of a man who delivered bad news too many times. He gestured to the chair across from his massive oak desk. "I'm deeply sorry for your loss." "Your father was a good man, was he?" The bitterness in Lily's voice surprised even her. Because apparently he left everything to a woman he knew for 3 years, and nothing to the daughter he raised for 29. Morrison's expression shifted, not surprise, but something closer to resignation. He opened a file folder, and Lily caught a glimpse of her father's signature on multiple documents. "That's actually why I asked you here. There are irregularities in your father's estate that concern me." Lily leaned forward. "What kind of irregularities?" "The will Victoria presented was indeed signed by your father and properly notarized 18 months ago." Morrison pulled out a document. "However, I have another will in my possession. This one was created 7 years ago, shortly after your mother passed, and it leaves everything to you, the house, investments, savings, all of it. Your father never told me he planned to change it." Hope flickered in Lily's chest. "So, the new will isn't valid?" "Unfortunately, it is. The law recognizes the most recent valid will as the final testament. But here's what troubles me." Morrison pulled out another document, this one covered in highlighted sections. 6 months before your father died, he transferred significant assets out of his personal accounts. Over $800,000 moved to offshore accounts I can't trace. The house was put solely in Victoria's name, something he'd always refused to do before, according to our previous conversations. And there were 3 separate life insurance policies taken out, all naming Victoria as the sole beneficiary. Combined payout, $4. $5 million. The room seemed to tilt. $4.5 million? Your father was a cautious man, Miss Patterson. In 30 years of handling his affairs, I never knew him to make impulsive financial decisions. Yet in the 6 months before his death, he completely restructured his entire estate in ways that— Morrison paused, choosing his words carefully. "In ways that don't align with his character or his expressed wishes. You think Victoria forced him somehow? It wasn't a question. I think your father was ill. Very ill. I visited him twice during those final months and he wasn't himself. Confused at times, forgetful. Victoria was always present during our meetings, always answering questions for him, always." He trailed off, then met Lily's eyes directly. "Always controlling the narrative." Lily's mind raced back through the past year. Her father's sudden health decline. The way Victoria had limited visits, claiming he needed rest. The strange phone call 3 months before he died when her father had sounded desperate, saying, "Lily, I need to tell you something about Victoria," before the line went dead. When Lily called back, Victoria answered, explaining sweetly that Robert had gotten confused and accidentally hung up, that he was sleeping now, that it was better not to disturb him. Lily had believed her. God, she'd actually believed her. "Can we prove it?" Lily asked. "Can we challenge the will?" Morrison's silence was answer enough. Without evidence of coercion, undue influence, or mental incapacity at the time of signing, the will stands. And Victoria was very careful. The notary public was legitimate. 2 witnesses signed. Both of them apparently sound mind. Everything is technically legal. So, she wins. The words tasted like ash. She manipulates my dying father, steals everything he built, sells our home before his body is even cold, and she just wins. I didn't say that. Morrison pulled out one more document, this one older, yellowed at the edges. Before Victoria, your father kept detailed financial records. Meticulous notes about every investment, every decision. I found this in his old files, a letter addressed to you dated 2 months before he married Victoria. He never sent it. but he kept it in his safe deposit box. With shaking hands, Lily took the envelope, her father's handwriting on the front. For Lily, in case I'm not thinking clearly. She opened it carefully, as if the paper might disintegrate. My darling Lily girl, if you're reading this, something has gone terribly wrong. I want you to know that everything I've built, the house, the business, the savings, it's all meant for you. You are my legacy, my pride, my reason for everything. I'm writing this because I met someone. Victoria seems wonderful. But your mother once told me, Robert, you see the best in everyone, even when it's not there. I brushed off your concerns when you expressed them, and I'm sorry for that. A father should listen to his daughter's instincts. If something happens to me, if my mind fails or my judgment falters, please know. I would never willingly cut you out. The house on Maple Street is yours. It was always meant to be yours. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Fight for what's yours, Lily. Fight like your mother would have fought. Asterisk all my love, Dad. The tears came then, hot and unstoppable. Her father had known. On some level, he'd known Victoria was dangerous, even as he was falling under her spell. He'd tried to protect Lily, tried to leave her a roadmap back to the truth. Can I use this? Lily's voice was raw. In court? It's not legally binding, Morrison said gently. It's a letter, not a will, but it demonstrates your father's true intentions. Combined with the suspicious timing of the estate changes, the rapid health decline, Victoria's control over his final months, he adjusted his glasses. It might be enough to open an investigation. Adult Protective Services takes elder abuse seriously, especially financial exploitation of vulnerable individuals. How long would that take? Months. Possibly years. And Victoria has resources now, millions of dollars to fight any challenge you bring. She can afford the best lawyers in the state. Lily folded the letter carefully and placed it in her purse. What if I told you I don't plan to fight her in court? Morrison raised an eyebrow. Then what do you plan to do? Something my father's letter reminded me of. Lily stood, and despite the tears still wet on her cheeks, her voice was steady. My mother was a prosecutor before she died. She taught me that the legal system isn't the only path to justice. Sometimes the court of public opinion is more powerful than any judge. She thanked Morrison and left his office with copies of every document he could legally provide: the 2 conflicting wills, the financial transfers, the insurance policies, and most importantly, her father's letter. Outside, the afternoon sun felt too bright for a day of funerals and revelations. Lily sat in her car and pulled out her phone. Victoria's Instagram account loaded immediately. 127,000 followers. Every post carefully curated to present the image of a sophisticated philanthropist and devoted wife. The most recent post, uploaded 2 hours ago, showed Victoria in her funeral dress with the caption, "Saying goodbye to my beloved Robert. Gone too soon, but his love remains forever in my heart. #grief, #widow, #eternal love." The comments were full of sympathy. You're so strong. He was lucky to have you. Sending prayers during this difficult time. They had no idea who she really was. Lily scrolled back through Victoria's feed, studying each post with new eyes. There's 6 months ago, a photo of her father looking thin and confused at some charity event, Victoria's arm possessively around his waist. Caption: My rock, always supporting my passions. But Lily remembered that night. She'd called to check on her father, and Victoria had snapped that he was too tired for calls, that Lily was being selfish, demanding his attention. And there, a year ago, a picture of the house on Maple Street with the caption, "Home renovation complete. Out with the old, in with the new." The comments praised Victoria's modern taste. Nobody knew she'd erased every trace of Lily's mother, packed away 25 years of family memories like they were garbage. Every post was a performance. Every image carefully constructed to hide the truth. Lily opened her notes app and began typing, her fingers flying across the screen. She documented everything: dates, conversations, her father's strange behavior in his final months, Victoria's controlling presence, the suspicious timing of the house sale. She uploaded copies of her father's letter to a secure cloud storage. She started a list of her father's old friends and business associates, People who'd known him before Victoria, people who might remember how he really was. Her phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Lily Patterson? The voice was female, professional, unfamiliar. My name is Grace Chen. I'm Victoria's younger sister. We need to talk. Lily's pulse quickened. About what? About what my sister did to your father. About what she's done before. And about what she's planning to do next. A pause, heavy with meaning. She's done this twice already. Your father wasn't her first wealthy husband to die unexpectedly. And unless someone stops her, he won't be the last. The line went dead. Lily sat frozen, Grace Chen's words echoing in her mind. Victoria had done this before. Multiple times. Which meant this wasn't just about stealing an inheritance. It was about something much darker, much more calculated, much more dangerous. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Meet me tomorrow, 2 p.m., Morrison's Coffee on 5th Street. Come alone. Bring copies of everything you have. Victoria doesn't know I'm helping you, and if she finds out, we're both in danger. Delete this message. Grace. Lily deleted the text, her heart hammering. She'd wanted a fight, wanted justice, wanted revenge. But she'd been thinking about lawsuits and social media exposure and financial investigations. Grace Chen's warning suggested something far more sinister. What if Victoria hadn't just exploited a sick old man? What if she'd helped make him sick in the first place? The thought settled over Lily like ice water, and with it came a terrible, crystallizing clarity. Her father's sudden health decline. The suspicious timing. Victoria's rush to cash in before anyone could ask questions. The way she'd isolated him from friends and family in those final months. Lily started her car, but before pulling out, she did one more thing. She opened her camera, pointed it at herself, and hit record. My name is Lily Patterson. Today I buried my father, Robert Patterson. And today I discovered that the woman he married may have killed him. Her voice didn't shake. If something happens to me in the coming weeks, if I have an accident or suddenly fall ill, you'll know why. And you'll know who's responsible. She uploaded the video to a private folder with instructions to be released if she failed to check in weekly. Because if Victoria Chen Patterson had gotten away with murder twice before, Lily needed insurance. And if you're watching this thinking it's too dangerous, that Lily should walk away while she still can, you don't understand what it means to lose everything? When you have nothing left, you have nothing left to lose. And that makes you very, very dangerous. Morrison's Coffee on 5th Street was the kind of place where people went to disappear, dim lighting, high-backed booths, and a steady hum of conversation that swallowed secrets whole. Lily arrived 15 minutes early, chosen a corner booth with a clear view of the entrance, and ordered black coffee she had no intention of drinking. Her hands hadn't stopped shaking since Grace Chen's phone call. At 2:03 p.m., a woman walked in, mid-40s, sharp features softened by exhaustion, wearing jeans and an oversized sweater that suggested she dressed for comfort rather than impression. She looked like Victoria, the same bone structure, the same calculating eyes, but where Victoria's gaze held ice, this woman's held something closer to regret. Grace spotted Lily immediately and slid into the booth without preamble. You brought the documents? Lily placed a folder on the table. You said Victoria's done this before. Tell me everything. Grace ordered green tea from a passing server, then leaned back and exhaled slowly. Our parents died when Victoria was 23 and I was 19. Car accident, supposedly. They left us nothing. Victoria had drained their accounts in the months before, convinced them to sign everything over to her because she was the responsible older sister who would take care of everything. She killed them? Lily's voice dropped to a whisper. Never proven. The police called it an accident brake failure on a mountain road. But Victoria had their car serviced the week before by a mechanic who mysteriously moved to Mexico right after. She collected $600,000 in insurance money and never looked back. Lily's coffee turned to bile in her stomach. Husband number 1 was James Patterson, no relation to your father. Different family entirely. Wealthy tech entrepreneur, 62 years old when Victoria met him at a business conference. She was 28. They married within 6 months. Grace pulled out her phone and showed Lily a photo. Victoria, younger but just as beautiful, standing beside a silver-haired man with kind eyes. James died 18 months into the marriage. Heart attack. Victoria inherited $8 million. Let me guess, his health mysteriously declined before he died? He was perfectly healthy until Victoria convinced him to change doctors. The new physician prescribed a cocktail of medications for preventative care. James started having memory issues, confusion, fatigue. He changed his will 3 months before his death, leaving everything to Victoria. His adult children tried to contest it, but Victoria had covered her tracks perfectly. Legal signatures, witnesses, everything airtight. The pattern was sickeningly clear. And husband number 2? Michael Chen. That's how she got the name Chen kept it. After he died, even though they were only married 14 months. Michael was a real estate developer, 58, worth about $12 million. Same story. Whirlwind romance. Quick marriage, sudden health problems, convenient will change. Massive life insurance payout. Grace's voice hardened. Michael was my husband, Lily. Victoria seduced and married my husband. The words hung in the air like a grenade. I was traveling for work when they met, gone for 3 months on a project overseas. When I came back, Michael asked for a divorce. Said he'd fallen in love with someone else, that he was sorry, that these things just happen. He introduced me to Victoria at the divorce proceedings, my own sister, smiling like she'd won a prize. Grace's hands clenched around her teacup. 6 months later, Michael was dead. Complications from diabetes, the death certificate said. Except Michael had never been diabetic until Victoria's doctor diagnosed him. Why didn't you go to the police? I tried. They said grief was making me paranoid, that I was a bitter ex-wife looking for someone to blame. Victoria had the perfect defense. She was the devoted wife nursing her sick husband, making difficult medical decisions, handling his affairs because he was too ill to do it himself. Everyone saw her as a saint, and me as the jealous sister spreading lies. Lily pulled out her father's letter and slid it across the table. Grace read it, and something shifted in her expression recognition. Validation, the look of someone who'd been called crazy for too long, finally seeing proof she'd been right all along. Your father knew, Grace said quietly. Just like James knew, just like Michael knew. But by the time they realized what was happening, Victoria had already made them dependent on her, isolated them from family, controlled their medications, convinced everyone around them that she was the only one who truly understood their needs. How does she do it? How does she make them sick? Grace looked around, ensuring no one was close enough to overhear. I've spent 4 years researching this. Victoria has a background in pharmaceutical sales. She knows drugs, interactions, dosages. My theory is that she uses a combination of medications that create symptoms mimicking natural illness. Confusion, fatigue, memory loss, heart problems. Nothing that shows up as poisoning in standard toxicology screens because, technically, everything she's giving them is prescribed by real doctors. Doctors she chooses. Doctors she pays, more likely. Or doctors she charms, convinces that her husband needs aggressive treatment for conditions he doesn't have. She's brilliant at playing the concerned wife, the woman who just wants the best care for her beloved husband. Lily's mind raced through her father's final months. The new doctor Victoria insisted on after his regular physician retired. The pills, so many pills that Victoria carefully measured out 3 times a day. The way her father would seem almost normal when Lily visited, then suddenly confused or exhausted, especially after Victoria brought him his medication. I need proof, Lily said. Something concrete enough that the police can't ignore. Grace reached into her bag and pulled out a small box. Inside were medication bottles, documents, and a flash drive. This is everything I've collected on Victoria, medical records I obtained through unofficial channels, financial documents showing the pattern of wealth extraction, contact information for James's children and Michael's business partner, people who've been trying to expose Victoria for years but couldn't get anyone to listen. Why are you helping me now? Why not go to the police yourself? Because I have no standing. I'm the bitter ex-wife, the jealous sister. My testimony is worthless. Victoria made sure everyone thinks I'm mentally unstable. She got a restraining order against me after Michael died, claimed I was harassing her. But you... Grace looked at Lily intently. You're the grieving daughter with a letter from the victim himself. You have a lawyer who noticed irregularities. You have fresh evidence and no history of animosity toward Victoria before your father's death. You're credible in ways I can never be. Lily understood the strategy, but something else nagged at her. Victoria doesn't know you're helping me? God, no. As far as she knows, I'm in Oregon living a quiet life and staying far away from her. I use a different name now, changed it legally after Michael died. Victoria thinks she won, that she scared me into silence. Grace's smile was sharp and bitter. She has no idea I've been documenting everything, waiting for the right moment. Waiting for her next victim to survive long enough to fight back. What if I can't prove it? What if she's too careful? Then we make her careless. Grace leaned forward. Victoria's weakness is her ego. She's gotten away with this 3 times. She thinks she's untouchable, smarter than everyone else. That arrogance is how we catch her. We make her think she's won, make her confident enough to get sloppy. How? Grace pulled out a small recording device, no bigger than a USB drive. Corporate espionage-grade audio surveillance. Plant this anywhere Victoria feels safe, her car, her bedroom, her office. The battery lasts 30 days, and it uploads to a secure cloud server in real time. If she confesses to anyone, if she makes a phone call discussing her plans, if she says anything incriminating, we'll have it. That's illegal. So is murder. Grace's voice was steel. The question is, what are you willing to do to get justice for your father? Lily stared at the device. Her entire life, she'd followed the rules, trusted the system, believed that doing the right thing would be enough. But the right thing had gotten her father killed and left his murderer rich and free. She picked up the device. What's the plan? Relief flooded Grace's face. First, we need access to Victoria's space. Does she have any reason to invite you over? Lily thought about the boxes of childhood photos Victoria had mentioned. She has my things, photos, books, stuff from the house. She told me to collect them next week. Perfect. When you go, act defeated. Broken. Make her think you've given up fighting. Victoria preys on weakness. If she thinks you're no threat, she let her guard down. Grace pulled out a notebook. While you're there, plant the device somewhere she won't look. Her car is ideal under the driver's seat, tucked into the side panel. She makes all her important calls while driving, away from potential witnesses. What about the medical records? How do we prove she was controlling my father's medications? Your father's regular doctor before Victoria changed physicians. Do you remember his name? Dr. Raymond. He'd been Dad's doctor for 20 years. Visit him. Tell him your concerns. Ask if he noticed anything strange about your father's health before the physician change. Doctors talk to each other. If Victoria's new doctor was prescribing dangerous combinations, Dr. Raymond might have heard about it through professional networks. Lily made notes, her mind shifting into strategic mode. What about the house sale? She sold it so quickly. There must be something there she wanted to hide. Grace nodded approvingly. Smart. I've been thinking the same thing. Victoria always erases evidence after she strikes. She sold James's house within a week of his death. Same with Michael's. My guess is there's something in that house, maybe hidden medications, maybe financial documents, maybe communications with her accomplices that she needed to get rid of before anyone started asking questions. The closing hasn't happened yet. The email said closing this morning, but real estate transactions take time to finalize. I might be able to access the house one more time if I claim I forgot something. Do it. Today, if possible. Look for anything unusual: hidden safes, locked drawers, areas that seem recently cleaned or renovated. Grace hesitated, then added, and Lily? Be careful. Victoria is dangerous, but she's not working alone. Someone is helping her, the doctors, maybe the lawyers, possibly others. You're not just fighting her. You're fighting a network. The weight of it settled over Lily like a shroud. This wasn't just about exposing one murderer. It was about dismantling an entire operation that had successfully killed at least 3 people and stolen millions. I need to ask you something, Lily said slowly. If we do this, if we expose Victoria and everything she's done, there's going to be media attention, investigations. Your connection to Michael will come out. Everyone will know your sister seduced your husband and then killed him. Are you ready for that? Grace's laugh was hollow. I've been ready for 4 years. The only thing worse than everyone knowing the truth would be watching Victoria get away with it again. If destroying her reputation means destroying mine in the process, so be it. Some things are worth the cost. They spent another hour going over detailed contact information for the other victims. Families, names of potentially corrupt doctors, financial institutions Victoria had used before. When Grace finally left, slipping out a side exit to avoid being seen, Lily sat alone with a folder full of evidence and a recording device that felt heavy as a weapon. Her phone buzzed. Text from Victoria. Stop by tomorrow at 10 a.m. to collect your father's belongings. Don't be late. I have a spa appointment at 11. The casual cruelty of its scheduling. Lily's final connection to her father around a spa appointment ignited something dark and determined in her chest. Lily texted back. Thank you for keeping them for me. I really appreciate everything you've done. I know Dad would want us to stay close. See you tomorrow. The lies tasted bitter but necessary. If Victoria wanted to see weakness, Lily would give her weakness. She'd play the grieving, defeated daughter right up until the moment she struck. That evening, Lily drove past the house on Maple Street one last time before the new owners took possession. The lights were off. Victoria, presumably at some social engagement, celebrating her newfound wealth. Lily parked down the street and watched the house where she'd grown up, where her father had lived and loved and ultimately been betrayed. I'm going to get her, Dad, she whispered to the darkness. I promise you, I'm going to make sure everyone knows what she did. To you, to James, to Michael. She's not getting away with it. Not this time. A light turned on in an upstairs window. Someone was home after all. Lily tensed, ready to drive away. But then she saw the figure move past the window. Not Victoria. Someone else. Male, judging by the build. Moving through the house like he belonged there. Who was in her father's house? Lily pulled out her phone and started recording video, zooming in as much as possible. The figure moved to another window, and this time she caught a glimpse of his face. She didn't recognize him, but she screenshot the image anyway. Another piece of the puzzle. Another thread to pull. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I hope you're being careful. Victoria knows something is different about you. She told me today that you seemed suspiciously agreeable in your text. Watch your back. Gee, so Victoria was already suspicious. Good, let her wonder. Let her worry. Because Lily Patterson was done being the naive daughter who trusted everyone and questioned nothing. Tomorrow she'd walk into that house wearing a mask of defeat. But underneath, she'd be hunting for evidence, for answers, for the one mistake Victoria had made that would bring her entire empire of death crashing down. And if you think this sounds too dangerous, if you're wondering whether Lily should just walk away and let justice handle it, stick with me. Because sometimes the system fails, sometimes the innocent die and the guilty prosper. And sometimes, the only way to get justice is to take it yourself, whatever the cost. Lily arrived at the house on Maple Street at exactly 10 a.m., carrying an empty tote bag and wearing her most defeated expression. Victoria answered the door in athleisure wear that probably cost more than Lily's monthly rent, her hair pulled back in a sleek ponytail, looking like she'd just stepped out of a wellness magazine. Right on time. I appreciate punctuality. Victoria's smile was all teeth, no warmth. Your boxes are in the garage. I would have had them brought out, but honestly, there's so much junk. Your father was such a pack rat. Every word was designed to hurt. And Lily let it show on her face, the flinch, the downcast eyes, the trembling lip. Thank you for keeping them. Well, I couldn't just throw away your childhood, could I? Though I was tempted when I saw how much space they were taking up. Victoria checked her watch. You have 30 minutes. I need to leave for my appointment. Lily walked through the house toward the garage. And the changes struck her again. Every family photo gone, Every personal touch erased, the space transformed into something cold and impersonal. But she wasn't here for sentiment. She was here for evidence. The boxes were stacked in the corner of the garage, hastily packed and labeled in Victoria's sharp handwriting. Lily's junk. Old photos. Worthless books. Lily knelt beside them, but her attention was on Victoria's black Mercedes parked in the adjacent bay. "Take your time," Victoria called from inside the house. "Well, not too much time. I really can't be late." The moment Victoria disappeared from view, Lily moved. She pulled the recording device from her pocket, slid along the side of the Mercedes, and pressed herself flat to reach under the driver's seat. Her fingers found the seat track mechanism, and she wedged the device into a hidden crevice where it would be invisible unless someone was specifically looking for it. 5 seconds, maybe less. Then she was back at the boxes, heart hammering. She opened the first box, her mother's jewelry, photos from childhood, her father's favorite books. Each item was a memory Victoria had deemed worthless. Lily pulled out a photo of her father, young and smiling, holding baby Lily in his arms. The rage that flooded through her was so intense she had to bite her lip to keep from screaming. "Find anything good?" Victoria appeared in the garage doorway, and Lily quickly wiped her eyes. "Just memories," Lily said quietly. "Thank you for saving these. I know you didn't have to." Victoria's expression softened slightly, not with kindness, but with satisfaction. She was enjoying this, Lily realized. Enjoying Lily's pain, her defeat, her gratitude for scraps. "Your father loved you very much, you know. He talked about you constantly, especially toward the end." The words should have been comforting. Instead, they were a knife. "What did he say?" "Oh, just that he hoped you'd understand why he made the choices he did. That he wanted you to be taken care of, but he also wanted to ensure I was secure." Victoria leaned against her car, right above where the recording device was hidden. "He worried about you, Lily. Worried you were too trusting, too naive. He wanted you to learn to be stronger. Like you." "Exactly like me." Victoria smiled. "I'm a survivor. I've had to be. My parents left me nothing. My first husband, well, these things happen. My second marriage ended badly. But each experience taught me that in this world, you have to look out for yourself, because no one else will." Lily forced herself to look vulnerable, broken. "I don't know how to be like that. I don't know how to just move on. You'll learn. Or you won't, and you'll spend your life being a victim." Victoria checked her phone. "Speaking of which, I really do need to go. Can you finish up in the next 5 minutes?" "Actually, I was hoping I could come back tomorrow. There are more boxes than I thought, and I can't fit them all in my car." Victoria's eyes narrowed slightly, suspicion flickering. "Why would you need to come back? Just take what fits and forget the rest. There are legal documents in here, birth certificates, my mother's death certificate, things I need. Please, Victoria." "One more visit, that's all I'm asking." The pause stretched too long. Victoria was calculating something, weighing options. Finally, she shrugged. "Fine. Tomorrow, same time. But this is the last time, Lily. After this, we're done. I'm moving forward with my life, and I suggest you do the same." "Of course. Thank you." Lily loaded 2 boxes into her car, making a show of struggling with the weight. As she drove away, she watched Victoria in her rearview mirror. The woman stood in the driveway, phone to her ear, expression sharp and focused. The recording device was active. Whatever Victoria said in that car over the next 30 days would be captured. Lily drove straight to Dr. Raymond's office. The receptionist tried to turn her away. "The doctor is with patients all day." But Lily planted herself in a chair and refused to leave. 2 hours later, Dr. Raymond emerged, the same kind-faced man who'd given her lollipops as a child and treated her father for 3 decades. "Lily, I'm so sorry about Robert. He was a good man." "Dr. Raymond, I need to know what happened to my father." His real medical history. Before Victoria changed doctors, they spoke in his office for 40 minutes. Dr. Raymond was cautious at first, citing patient confidentiality. But when Lily showed him her father's letter and explained her suspicions, Something shifted in his expression. "Your father was healthy," he said finally. 70 years old but in excellent condition. No heart problems, no diabetes, no cognitive issues. When Victoria insisted he switch to Dr. Martin, I was confused. Robert didn't need a specialist. He needed routine care, which I was providing. Why did he switch? Victoria convinced him that I was old-fashioned and that Dr. Martin used cutting-edge preventative treatments. She scheduled the appointment herself, went with him, and after that, Robert started canceling his checkups with me. When I saw him at a charity event 6 months before he died, I barely recognized him. He'd lost 30 pounds, seemed confused, kept forgetting names. Dr. Raymond pulled off his glasses and rubbed his eyes. I asked if he was all right, and Victoria answered for him. Said he was being treated for early-stage dementia and heart disease. I was shocked. Those conditions don't appear overnight. Did you contact Dr. Martin? I tried. He wouldn't discuss Robert's case with me, citing privacy laws. But I know Martin's reputation. He's been investigated twice by the medical board for overprescribing medications to elderly patients. Nothing was ever proven, but there were complaints from families who felt their loved ones were being overmedicated. Lily's hands clenched. Where is Dr. Martin now? Still practicing, unfortunately. His office is downtown. Dr. Raymond hesitated, then added, Lily, if you're thinking what I think you're thinking, be careful. Medical malpractice is extremely difficult to prove, and men like Martin have lawyers who specialize in making these cases disappear. I'm not interested in a malpractice suit, Dr. Raymond. I'm interested in the truth. She left with copies of her father's medical records, from before the switch, evidence of a healthy man who had no reason to suddenly need aggressive treatment. That evening, Grace called. The device is working. I'm monitoring the feed. Victoria made 3 calls from her car this afternoon, and nothing incriminating yet, but one call was interesting. She told someone named Richard that the daughter is taken care of, completely broken, no threat. Then she said, just like the others. They always crumble once they realize they've lost. The casual cruelty in those words made Lily's blood boil. Who's Richard? I'm working on it. The number is registered to a burner phone, but I have contacts who can trace it. Grace paused. There's something else. I did some digging into the house sale. The buyer is a shell corporation registered in Delaware. No public names attached. Victoria's hiding something. Or someone is hiding Victoria. This has the marks of a professional operation, Lily. Someone with resources is helping her. That night, Lily couldn't sleep. She lay in bed scrolling through everything she'd collected: medical records, financial documents, Grace's research on Victoria's previous victims. The pattern was unmistakable, but patterns weren't proof. She needed a confession. She needed Victoria to say, out loud and on record, what she'd done. At 3 a.m., her phone rang. Grace, voice urgent. Lily, you need to hear this. Victoria just made a call. Grace played the recording. Victoria's voice, clear and cold. Tired of waiting. The house closes tomorrow, and after that, there's no evidence left. I cleaned everything. Destroyed the medication logs, wiped the computers. Even if the daughter suspects something, she can't prove anything. A male voice responded. What about the sister? Grace has been quiet, but that doesn't mean she's not planning something. Grace is a non-issue. I destroyed her credibility years ago. No one believes the bitter ex-wife. Victoria laughed. Besides, even if she tries to make noise, I have the restraining order. One word from me and she's back in court for violating it. And the Patterson girl? Broken. Grieving. Harmless. She'd take her boxes of memories and fade away. Just like James's kids and Michael's business partner. They all make noise for a few months, then give up when they realize I'm untouchable. You're sure the will is airtight? Completely. I used the same lawyer as before. He knows how to make everything look legitimate. Robert signed everything while he could barely remember his own name. The medications made sure of that. Lily's hands shook so hard she nearly dropped the phone. There it was. Confession. Proof. Victoria admitting to drugging her father, to manipulating his will, to having done this before. There's more, Grace said. Keep listening. Victoria's voice continued. I'm done with grieving widows. Too much work, too much time. I'm thinking about pivoting, maybe target wealthy executives with no families. Cleaner, faster, same payout. The male voice laughed. Already planning number 4? Why not? I've perfected the system. Find a lonely, wealthy man. Romance him. Marry him quickly. Control his medical care. Wait for nature to take its course with a little chemical help. Collect the insurance. Move on. It's practically foolproof. Until someone proves it. No one will. No one has. And no one can because I'm smarter than all of them. Smarter than the police. Smarter than the families. Smarter than everyone who's ever tried to stop me. The recording ended. Lily sat in stunned silence, her mind racing. This wasn't just proof of her father's murder. It was proof of a serial killer who'd been operating for years with complete impunity. What do we do now? Lily asked. Now? Grace's voice was steel. Now we destroy her. I've already sent copies of this recording to 3 journalists who've been investigating Victoria. I've also contacted the FBI. This crosses state lines, involves insurance fraud, and constitutes serial murder. They're interested. When? They want to meet with us tomorrow. Both of us. They want to hear everything, see all the evidence. Grace paused. Lily, this is it. This is what we've been working toward. By this time tomorrow, Victoria will be in custody. Lily should have felt relief, victory, justice. Instead, she felt empty. My father is still gone. James and Michael are still dead. Even if we stop Victoria, we can't bring them back. No, Grace agreed quietly. But we can make sure she never does this to anyone else. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's what justice looks like. Not revenge, not bringing back the dead, but making sure the living are safe. The next morning, Lily met with FBI agents in a downtown office that smelled of coffee and old files. She told them everything, showed them everything. The agents listened with expressions that shifted from skepticism to shock to grim determination. This is one of the most calculated serial murder cases I've seen, Agent Maria Torres said. And you're telling me she's done this at least 3 times? 3 that we know of, Grace corrected. There could be more. We'll need to coordinate with local police on the arrest. Given the evidence, we can move quickly. Agent Torres looked at Lily. You understand that this will become a media circus? Victoria Chen Patterson is well known in social circles. When this breaks, it's going to be everywhere. Good, Lily said. I want everyone to know what she did. I want every family she's destroyed to see justice. There's one thing we need first, Agent Torres said. We need her to make one more incriminating statement, ideally with police present. The recording is powerful, but defense attorneys will argue it's inadmissible, that it was obtained illegally. We need her to confess directly. How? Agent Torres smiled, and it wasn't kind. By giving her exactly what she wants, a chance to gloat. 2 hours later, Lily sat in her car outside the house on Maple Street, wired with a police recording device. Inside, Victoria was preparing for the house closing. Unmarked police vehicles were positioned on adjacent streets, ready to move the moment they had enough for an arrest. Lily's phone buzzed. Text from Grace. You don't have to do this. We have enough for an investigation. But investigation wasn't enough. Lily needed Victoria to confess, to admit what she'd done, to finally pay for the lives she destroyed. If you're wondering whether this kind of justice-recorded confessions and FBI stings actually works in real life, stay with me. Because sometimes the most satisfying endings are the ones where the villain doesn't just lose, but loses because their own arrogance destroyed them. Lily took a breath, stepped out of her car, and walked toward the house where her father died. Time to end this. Victoria opened the door with an expression that was almost pitying. Back again, Lily. This is getting pathetic. The house closes in 2 hours. Whatever you forgot, it's gone. I know. Lily's voice cracked perfectly, years of grief channeled into performance. I need to understand something. Please just give me 5 minutes. Victoria sighed, the sound of someone indulging a child's tantrum, and stepped aside. 5 minutes. Then I'm calling security. They stood in the living room that had once been filled with family warmth, now stripped bare and cold. Lily clutched a photo of her father, the one from the funeral. Did you ever love him, even a little? What kind of question is that? Victoria's tone was sharp, but something flickered in her eyes, curiosity about where this was going. I'm trying to understand how someone marries a man, shares his bed, sits beside him while he dies, and feels nothing. Lily's hands trembled. My father loved you. He trusted you completely. And you? I what? Victoria crossed her arms, defensive now. I took care of him. I made his final months comfortable. I handled everything while you were too busy with your own life to visit. You kept me away. The accusation hung between them. Every time I tried to see him, you had an excuse. He's sleeping. He's confused. He doesn't want visitors. You isolated him. I protected him from stress. Your visits upset him. He'd get agitated. His blood pressure would spike. The doctors said, the doctors you chose. Dr. Martin, who's been investigated twice for over-medicating elderly patients. Lily took a step closer. My father was healthy before you. Dr. Raymond told me. No heart disease, no dementia, nothing. Then 6 months with your doctors, your medications, and suddenly he can't remember his own daughter's name. Victoria's expression hardened. You need to leave. Now. What did you give him, Victoria? What medications did you use to make him forget, to make him weak enough to sign everything over to you? I'm not having this conversation. Victoria pulled out her phone. I'm calling the police. Go ahead. Call them. Because I've been wondering how many times have you done this? My father was what, number 3? Number 4? Victoria's hand froze mid-dial. What are you talking about? James Patterson. Michael Chen. Were there others? Lily watched Victoria's face, saw the calculation happening behind those cold eyes. Did you think no one would notice the pattern? Wealthy older men, whirlwind marriages, sudden health problems, convenient deaths, massive insurance payouts? You're insane. But Victoria's voice lacked conviction. Grief has made you paranoid, just like it made Grace paranoid after Michael. Grace isn't paranoid. Grace is right. She's been right for 4 years. Lily pulled out her phone and played the recording from Victoria's car. Her own voice filled the room. I cleaned everything, destroyed the medication logs, wiped the computers. Even if the daughter suspects something, she can't prove anything. The color drained from Victoria's face. Where did you get that? Does it matter? What matters is that you just confessed to destroying evidence, to using medications to control my father, to having done this before. Lily's voice was stronger now, the broken daughter facade cracking. What matters is that the FBI has heard this recording. And they're very interested in talking to you. Victoria lunged for Lily's phone. But Lily stepped back smoothly. Don't bother. It's backed up in 7 different locations. Deleting it from my phone won't help you. You can't use that in court. It's illegal wiretapping. Maybe. But it was enough to get the FBI to investigate your previous husband's deaths. They're exhuming James Patterson's body right now. And Michael Chen's. Funny thing about poisons, they linger in bone marrow, in hair follicles. Technology has improved a lot in 4 years, Victoria. Things that couldn't be detected before. They can be now. The fear on Victoria's face was intoxicating. This was what power felt like, not wealth or beauty or charm, but knowledge, evidence, truth. What do you want? Victoria's voice was barely a whisper. Money. I'll give you money. Half of everything, just don't. I don't want your blood money. Lily cut her off. I want you to tell me the truth. Right here, right now. Did you kill my father? You're recording this. It wasn't a question. Of course I am. So answer carefully. Did you deliberately poison my father to steal his estate? The silence stretched. Victoria's eyes darted around the room, looking for escape routes, calculating odds. Finally, she laughed a brittle, desperate sound. You think you're so smart. You think you've won. But you have no idea how this works. I have lawyers, Lily. The best lawyers money can buy. Even if you have recordings, even if you have suspicions, you can't prove intent. You can't prove I knew those medications would interact badly. You can't prove I didn't genuinely love your father. So, you admit you gave him the medications? I gave him what his doctors prescribed. If something went wrong, that's medical malpractice, not murder. And good luck proving Dr. Martin did anything wrong. He's covered by malpractice insurance and a team of attorneys. You're chasing ghosts and you're going to lose everything trying to catch them. Am I? Lily smiled, and it was her turn to look predatory. Because here's what I know. I know James Patterson's children have been trying to reopen their father's case for 3 years. I know Michael Chun's business partner has evidence of forged signatures on life insurance documents. I know your sister has been documenting your crimes for 4 years. And I know that when the FBI connects all these cases, when they see the pattern, when they exhume the bodies, when they interview Dr. Martin under oath, everything you've built will collapse. Victoria's composure shattered. You, stupid girl. You have no idea what you've done. There are people involved in this, powerful people who won't let the front door burst open. FBI, hands where we can see them. Agent Torres entered with 4 other agents, weapons drawn. Victoria spun. Genuine shock on her face for the first time. Victoria Chen Patterson, you're under arrest for suspicion of murder, insurance fraud, and conspiracy to commit murder. Agent Torres pulled out handcuffs. You have the right to remain silent. This is entrapment. Victoria shrieked. That recording is illegal. You can't. Actually, we can. Agent Torres secured the handcuffs with practiced efficiency. Miss Patterson was acting as a concerned citizen documenting suspicious behavior. And everything you said in the last 10 minutes? Recorded with your knowledge and admissible in court. You admitted to giving medications, to having knowledge of previous deaths, to destroying evidence. That's more than enough for a warrant. 2 more agents entered with boxes of files. Ma'am, we have a warrant to search the premises. Everything you tried to hide, medication bottles, financial records, correspondence with Dr. Martin. We'll find it. Victoria's eyes found Lily's, and the hatred there was pure and concentrated. You'll regret this. My lawyers will destroy you. I'll sue you for everything. With what money? Agent Torres interrupted. Your assets are frozen as of 20 minutes ago. Bank accounts, investments, the proceeds from this house sale, all frozen pending investigation. You're not paying for lawyers with stolen money. They led Victoria out in handcuffs. She was still screaming threats, still insisting this was all a mistake, still clinging to the delusion that her carefully constructed life wouldn't crumble. Lily watched from the doorway as they loaded Victoria into a police car, and felt something loosen in her chest. Not quite relief, not quite joy, but something close to peace. Grace appeared beside her, having watched from an unmarked vehicle. She's going to prison for the rest of her life. Will it stick? The charges? The FBI doesn't arrest unless they're confident. And once they start digging, once other victims come forward. Grace smiled grimly. She's done. Finally. The investigation that followed was swift and brutal. Dr. Martin, facing his own charges, cut a deal and testified against Victoria. He admitted to prescribing dangerous medication combinations at her direction, to falsifying medical records, to receiving payments through offshore accounts. Bank records showed Victoria had paid him over $200,000 across 3 treatments. James Patterson's body revealed traces of digoxin poisoning, a heart medication that in controlled doses mimics natural cardiac arrest. Michael Chun's remains showed similar evidence. Robert Patterson's body, when exhumed, told the same story. The trial became national news. Black Widow killer preyed on wealthy husbands, screamed the headlines. Victoria's carefully curated Instagram, once full of sympathy, became a spectacle of public rage. Every photo, every post about her beloved husbands was dissected and mocked. Her 127,000 followers became prosecutors in the court of public opinion. The evidence was overwhelming. 3 murders, insurance fraud totaling $13 million, conspiracy, elder abuse, and a network of accomplices who'd helped her. The jury deliberated for 90 minutes. Guilty, on all counts. life in prison without possibility of parole. Lily attended every day of the trial. She sat in the front row, meeting Victoria's eyes each time the woman looked her way. And on the day of sentencing, when Victoria finally broke down and sobbed, Lily felt nothing but cold satisfaction. Grace was vindicated. James's children received closure. Michael's business partner got answers. And Lily got something she hadn't expected: the house. The sale had been voided due to the criminal investigation. With Victoria's assets frozen and then seized to compensate victims, the house reverted to Robert Patterson's estate. And with the original will, the one written before Victoria's manipulation, Lily was the rightful heir. She stood in the living room 6 months after Victoria's arrest, surrounded by boxes of her mother's photos, her father's books. Family memories finally returned to their proper place. The house felt like home again, slowly being restored to what it was before Victoria's poison touched it. Her father's letter sat framed on the mantel. "Fight for what's yours, Lily. Fight like your mother would have fought." She'd fought. And she'd won. Not just the house or the money or the justice, though those mattered. She'd won something more important. Proof that evil doesn't always win. That patterns can be broken. That one person refusing to give up can change everything. Grace visited often. They'd formed a bond forged in shared trauma and shared victory. 2 women who'd lost everything and fought to reclaim their dignity. They started a foundation together, the Patterson-Chun Alliance Against Elder Abuse. They helped other families recognize warning signs, navigate legal systems, find the courage to fight back against predators like Victoria. Lily never married, never had children. But she had purpose, had meaning, had a life built on truth instead of lies. And some nights, when she sat in her father's study surrounded by his books, she could almost feel him there, proud of her, grateful to her, at peace because justice had finally been served. Victoria Chen Patterson, once the toast of Atlanta society, spent her days in a 6x8 cell. No designer clothes, no spa appointments, no Instagram followers celebrating her beauty. Just concrete walls, a narrow bed, and decades of memories about the lives she destroyed. And maybe that's what true justice looks like. Not revenge, not violence, but accountability. The scales balanced not through cruelty, but through consequence. Lily learned that the best way to honor the dead isn't to seek vengeance in their name, but to ensure their deaths meant something. Her father's death exposed a serial killer. His story saved lives. And if you're watching this story wondering whether fighting back is worth it, whether one person can really make a difference against someone powerful and connected, remember Lily Patterson. Remember that she started with nothing but grief and determination. Remember that she faced a woman who'd murdered 3 people and gotten away with it every time. And remember that she won. Not because she was stronger or smarter or richer, but because she refused to let injustice have the final word. Because she believed that truth matters, that evidence speaks, that patterns reveal themselves to those patient enough to look. The house on Maple Street stands today as a reminder. Some things are worth fighting for. Family, truth, justice. And sometimes the greatest victory isn't what you gain, it's what you prevent. Every person Victoria might have killed after Robert Patterson lives because Lily refused to accept defeat. That's the real inheritance. Not money or property, but the knowledge that when evil counted on silence, one voice said no. And that made all the difference. Subscribe to hear more stories where the underdog doesn't just survive. They win. Because in a world that often feels rigged for the powerful, we all need reminders that justice is possible. That truth wins. That love, even for those we've lost, gives us strength we never knew we had.